I can say that I'm delighted to be with you today, taking a break from our tour, which played at State College last night, and delighted to be able to help kick off the 26th Annual Spring Benefit for this wonderful Summit Speech School, today honoring the hardworking Kevin Cummings and the incredible, indomitable, articulate, and may I add, handsome Jake Whiteknight. Again, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, I came prepared. Well, I'm happy today to tell you a little bit about my story and also answer some questions you might have. I hope you enjoy my remarks, but I must tell you, I'm really looking forward to playing and backing up Jake. I'll be honest, I'm not much of a YouTube surfer. In our age of advanced technology, I'm helpless. But when my manager said, "You're playing with young Jake Whiteknight, check him out on YouTube," I got on the site and I was absolutely blown away, both by his singing and his presence, as you just witnessed. And Jake's personal history, his medical challenges, well, as someone who's had my share of medical issues, open heart surgery, 2 back operations, 7 operations on my hands, rebuilding my shoulders, little run of cancer, I am honored to have been invited to play with Jake, who is a true warrior. Of course, just don't take it from me. His YouTube videos bear witness to that fact. And all I can say is the Springsteens and the Miley Cyruses of the world better take note. Jake Whiteknight's coming up. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Now, many of you, if not all of you, are familiar with the story of Jake's life. As you saw in the slides, a wonderful presentation by his mom and father. It's been said that God gives you no burden that you can't carry. I think that's true for all of us. But when one thinks of the trials that Jake and his family have endured, and in particular the strength, courage, humility, dignity, and good humor demonstrated by Jake throughout all of it, you do get a perspective on your own life that no matter your age or station, Jake Whiteknight's unyielding fight for life on his terms is nothing less than awe-inspiring. Some say that adversity builds character. In Jake's case, adversity has revealed a character that is the stuff that heroes are made of. So Jake, to you, as you can see, I don't have any adult beverages on hand. But if you'll allow me to raise my drumsticks, Jake, to you I say, l'chaim, to life. Ladies and gentlemen, a word about the gifted teachers and dedicated staff of the Summit Speech School. As you know, for nearly 60 years, the school has taught deaf and hard of hearing children to listen and speak for themselves, as has been said before today, without the use of sign language, which back in the day was an unheard of protocol. Of course, to the uninitiated, it seems a miracle that this approach works at all, but clearly the results speak for themselves. And when I think of how it all comes together, how it all works to benefit the Summit School's students, well, I'm reminded of the explanation of what makes rockets go in the book The Right Stuff by Tom Wolfe. A question is asked, and the engineer responding to the question begins an extremely detailed discussion of quantum mechanics and all the rest of the physical properties that make rockets fly. He's asked this question by a bureaucrat. And then the bureaucrat says in response to his answer, well, sure, all of that stuff's important, but let me tell you what makes rockets go. Funding. And so it is with the education of the sort advanced by the Summit Speech School and its programs. That's one of the reasons we're here today, and a major component of the auction you saw today and tonight's gala. On behalf of the students, excuse me, I want to thank all of the individual and corporate sponsors who made this event happen and who have so strongly supported the school this past year and in years past. Likewise, a heartfelt thanks to all the volunteers and individuals who have solicited funds in support of the school. You know, it's hard work raising money and trying to convince potential donors that the endowments are not just about dollars and cents, but rather they must be about the values that the bequests promote. It's hard work, but the work goes on. Solicitors often meeting with a puzzling hesitation on the part of the potential donor. Well, I'm sure you've all heard the story of the wealthy man who has never, ever contributed to his community. A delegation from the town goes to solicit him, and they say, friend, we've been checking up on you. Leader of the group tells him, we know everything. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. They tell him, not only do you own this magnificent house, but we know about your little hideaway in Palm Beach and about your chalet in Switzerland. You drive a Rolls. Your wife has a Mercedes, and just this past year, you opened 12 new stores. But the man sits through the speech, and he doesn't say anything. He doesn't react at all. Finally, he addresses the leader, and he says, so, you say you checked so deeply into my background. Well, did you also find out about my mother, who's been in the hospital for 3 months with a serious heart condition? And do you have any idea what round-the-clock nurses cost? Did you find out about my uncle, who's in an asylum, and him? No health insurance. Did you check into my sister, who's married to a bum who can't hold a job and has 2 children in colleges? You know what college costs today. So now, I say to you, if I don't give a penny to any of them, why do you think I'm going to give it to you? That's a true story, ladies and gentlemen. I see there's a ripple of recognition here. So give generously and often. Well, the truth is, ladies and gentlemen, we do what we can, and the energy and commitment of the supporters of the Summit Speech School, with them, anything is possible. Folks, when your sponsors asked me to come over here from my home in New Jersey and speak to you today, I asked myself, well, what can I tell you about my life, my experiences, that will hopefully entertain you a bit, but also perhaps allow you to see something of yourself in my story. In fact, your host suggested that I simply tell you about myself. Well, I was born in Newark. I grew up in South Orange, New Jersey, and came of age during the 1950s and 60s. And during those moments when I've looked back over my life and my career, oh, I realized it was a great time to be young, and in my case, involved in music. It's a time of great change in culture, politics, and the social world in which my friends and I found ourselves. Opportunities were everywhere, if you knew where to look. And I looked, like Jake has looked, to music to change my life. Now, 50 plus years into my career, it seems to me that my work as a musician has almost been a series of lucky accidents. Or maybe, as it has been suggested to me, it was my own personal destiny. whatever it was, the contour of my life's work was, like most everyone's, up and down. Sometimes things seemed to come easy. Other times, well, it was almost as if I couldn't get out of my own way. But now, all these years on, I've come to hold the belief that to sort of weather the storm of your life, you have to be ready to deal with the unpredictability of your life. I found, maybe you have found too, that embracing an attitude of faith, faith in what you're doing and faith in where you're going, can sustain you when the going gets tough. And it will get tough. In any case, regardless of my successes or failures, the things I did, the decisions I made, particularly during the performing times of my career, well, I made those decisions, acted on those moves, because I believed so strongly that I could make my drumming dream come true, or at least help it along. Of course, like many of you, I'm sure you feel the same way. I wasn't always so sure of which road to take to get there. But somehow I knew that even as a young man, that no matter the path, the journey had to start with a passion for reaching my goal. Now, no matter who you are or what you do, no matter how much or how little you've accomplished to this point, I'll bet that if you look deep within yourself and you strip away the distractions of everyday life, you'll see, or perhaps in some cases, you'll rediscover that place where there's a hunger for something you can call your own, a desire to leave your mark, a way to leave the world a better place. It's very simply a way to make a difference in people's lives. And that's exactly what the Summit School has done. Now, for many people, it's a dream. Others call it a goal. Maybe to some people you bump up against, it seems like it's a waste of time. But as the White Knight's experience tells us, you keep pushing, you keep finding the answers, and anything is possible. And I say, for those people who tell you it can't be done, you forget them. If you recognize yourself as a person who holds a vision for your life and moves that work along, you know one thing: it's so hard to make that a reality. You invariably get to points where you ask yourself, will I ever make this happen? Is this ever going to work for me? Well, throughout my life, I've had those doubtful moments, because I can tell you this: it wasn't easy, it wasn't always easy, and it wasn't always fun. But I also learned that if you work towards that goal, that's like that line about the light at the end of the tunnel. I think it's true. You just have to keep walking towards that light, working towards your goal, all the while believing that no matter what, you are not going to give up, because you have the faith that one day you will get there. That's basically been my philosophy through my life and my career, ladies and gentlemen. And a bit of what I've learned on my journey. But you know, through it all, I've got to be honest, I believe that I've been an incredibly fortunate individual. Career-wise, well, my fascination with and occupation of drumming has given me so much. Chance to travel around the world, opportunity to perform with many of my musical heroes: James Brown, B.B. King, Paul McCartney, Tony Bennett, others who you might not have heard of, but were equally important to me and an inspiration to me. Deep down, though, playing with Bruce and the E Street Band now for 42 years, can't believe it's that long, I can say, thank you. Well, thank you. Let's hear it for longevity. It's New Jersey and longevity, ladies. Well, that for me has really been the physical embodiment of everything this little kid drummer ever dared to dream. And I think if it shows anything, well, it shows that if you simply hang in there, if you have faith, and you're lucky enough to have a stiff wind push you along, you can catch up to a dream. And like Jake, I hope you all do. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. As I said, I came prepared to back up Jake today. But before we do that, I hope he's looking forward to it as much as I am, because I've been thinking about this for days. The folks here said that if anybody has any questions, we have a couple of young ladies with microphones. I'd be happy to answer anything you'd like to ask me, any subject. Not all at once, though, not all at once. I know you're going to ask me, first of all, you were just 65 years old. How do you do it? It's all because of my wife, Becky, to whom I've been married for almost 40 years. I give her the credit. And to my children, Allie, my daughter, who will be 29 in a couple of weeks, and just got married this past Saturday night. And my son Jay, who's 26 and a heavy metal drummer in a band called Slipknot. You may have heard of them. Very provocative music. But with regard to the wedding, it was a beautiful wedding. It was a day like this. And unlike Tevya, I am so fortunate I only have one daughter. But it was a perfect wedding. We had a wonderful time. So yeah, you have a question.
Here, hold on. I have a mic. Thank you. What is your favorite song to play? And what is your favorite concert? What favorite memory do you have from a concert?
Well, those are great questions. My favorite song to play? You know, there are a lot of them, and Bruce has written about 1,200. And on any given moment, they do change. I've always said that I enjoyed playing Ramrod, which is from the River album. But these days I enjoy, maybe it's because I'm 65, playing the ballads. And one of the advantages we've had of doing this tour, where, you know, we've had a reputation for always changing up the set list. On any given night, there may be 15 out of 25 songs that are not on the set list. For this tour, we're doing a set piece, the River album, which came out in 1980. And I've really enjoyed playing the ballads, like Drive All Night, Fade Away. But they change from night to night. Basically, it's an honor as a drummer to have been able to enjoy for 42 years the platform of having these songs to play on. You know, that is a very rare opportunity in the music business. You do the best you can when you're making a record, but when you have Bruce Springsteen writing the songs, all you have to do is sort of get out of the way. Where do I like playing the best? Well, let me think. New Jersey? Maybe? New Jersey's always pretty fantastic. We played last night at State College, Penn State, and that was pretty unbelievable. College audiences are always very receptive. And what we're noticing is that we're probably 40 years older than the average fan in the audience. And that's a good thing. You always want to appeal to the younger generation. So there you go. Yes,
Yeah.
back there.
Growing up in New Jersey, did you go to Weinberg High School or Columbia?
Well, growing up in New Jersey, my mother taught gym at Weinberg High School in Newark for 46 years.
Whoa!
That's right.
Weinberg.
Did you go to Weinberg?
Yes, I did.
You did. She taught there for 46 years, and she retired in 1986. And she was tough.
She must have been my.
She was
must
tough.
have been my gym teacher.
I went to Columbia High School. I did. I graduated. We lived in Newark and South Orange and Maplewood. And I
Where'd
went
you
to-
live in Newark?
We lived on Johnson Avenue,
Okay.
which is no longer there. It's right by the courthouse. I mean, the avenue was there. I renamed it. The building we lived in was not. Yes, Jake.
Hold on, Jake. Everybody wants to hear you.
How many brothers and sisters do you have, and what are their names?
Well, thank you, Jake. I grew up with 3 sisters I was the only boy, so naturally I was treated like quite the prince. And my sisters' names were Patty, Nancy, and Abby. And I'm the third oldest, I guess you might say. And I was named after my grandfather, who had died before I was born. And I was certainly treated like a prince. But I had to practice those drums. My mother had a simple arrangement with me. She would pay the $2 a week for the drum lessons, but I had to practice. And I like to say it paid off for her. Traveled around the world with us. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Thanks so much for being with us this afternoon. I was curious, what do you consider to be your big break? When is it the moment that you knew that this was going to work out and you would have a career?
Well, when I think of my big break, it was meeting my wife, to tell you the truth.
Good answer.
Well, it's a true answer, because the two are so intertwined. You know, we're coming up on 40 years of marriage. My business, that's an amazing record. And she's an amazing woman. And when I was in my early 20s, I started to have doubts whether that kind of thing was ever going to happen for me. But I suppose by the time I met Bruce in the E Street Band, I'd been playing professionally for about 17 years. So I had a lot of experience, everything from cruise ships to backing up strippers and joints in New Jersey when I was 14. I was big for my age, and my father was able to get me fake ID. One of my favorite lines about where I like to play or what was my biggest break came actually from Frank Sinatra. He was asked a similar question. He said, they're all $50 dates. And he meant that as a compliment, meaning that you do what you do, whether you're playing for 50 people or 50,000 people. Certainly, at the time, I thought my biggest break was when my high school band signed with Epic Records and did a record. And I know it did incredibly well on my block. Beyond my block in South Orange, it didn't do so well. Meeting Bruce and the band in 1974, obviously sometimes I've thought over the last 42 years, had I not answered that ad in the newspaper, what might have happened. And I probably would have continued on to law school, which was my plan at the time. I was going to be an entertainment lawyer. And I met Bruce and the band over my last semester in college, over the summer. And I had kind of given up becoming the new drummer of the Beatles, because they had a drummer. And, you know, I figured if that wasn't going to happen, well, I'd be an entertainment lawyer representing lawyers. But I met him over the summer. And I was living home. I was going to Seton Hall during the day. I was playing the Broadway show Godspell, which ran in the early 70s. And that was a great gig, actually. It was great money. And Bruce liked me. He auditioned 60-something drummers, liked me, liked what I did, and offered me $50 a week. And I said, sounds good to me. That was the best decision I ever made, because Duke Ellington once said that a musical profit far outweighs a financial loss. And I've subscribed to that theory ever since. Any other questions? No? You have one more. Okay.
Hi, Max. Thanks for being here. I'm on the committee, so we're very honored to have you. I'm also in human resources professionally. So as the drummer of the E Street Band, I guess I'm curious to what role you play with the band, whether it's getting ready for the concert or getting through a concert. Is there something special you do with everybody?
Well, I've noticed over the last 42 years that maybe because of my personality, I tend to be a bit of a linchpin. I stay in touch with everyone when we're not playing. My main role is to watch what Bruce does at every moment. And even more so than preparing for what I know he's going to do, I have to prepare for what he might do, because he's always changing things up. We have a saying in the E Street Band, when you're on stage with Bruce Springsteen, you can always be sure of one thing. You never know what he's going to do. We call it watching out for the curves. And it's a good life lesson if you can watch out for the curves. And, hopefully most of the time you do catch those curveballs. And if you don't, as a drummer, you just start hitting cymbals and you make a lot of noise. And if you make a mistake, you do it twice and people think that it's part of the arrangement. There, Jake, that's a tip for you. If you do something that you didn't intend to do it again. And eventually the audience will go, oh, he meant to do that. He meant to do that. But we are a wonderful band of brothers and sisters in the East Street Band. And we're fortunate to have people who still enjoy the music. We miss terribly our founding members, Dan Federici and Clarence Clemens. But the East Street Band, as Bruce has pointed out, is a living, breathing thing. And we've managed to keep on. And hopefully we'll keep on keeping on. Thank you.